NFL Power Rankings. Way too early edition. Maybe the Eagles are the next dynasty. When you look at NFL history, there's a near constant thread of dynasties. Starting with the Green Bay Packers in the 1960s, continuing through the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 1970s, the 49ers in the 1980s, the Cowboys of the 1990s, and the Patriots of the 21st century. After the Patriots' reign, the Kansas City Chiefs took over with 5 Super Bowl appearances in 6 seasons, winning 3 titles. Could we now be seeing the beginning of the Eagles inheriting that dynasty mantle from the Chiefs? There's no doubt the Eagles were the superior team in their dominant 40-22 Super Bowl victory over the Chiefs. Over the past 3 seasons, the Eagles have been near unstoppable, almost winning a Super Bowl, starting 10-1 in the next season, despite a late collapse, and then finishing strong with 16 wins in their final 17 games to capture a title. Aside from a rough stretch late in 2023 and early 2024, they've been nearly unbeatable. With a young, deep roster, the Eagles are primed for continued success. Here's a look at the way too early power rankings as we head into the offseason. 32, Tennessee Titans, 3-14. The Titans are in a crucial position with the number 1 overall pick. They need a QB. But will they find the right one in this class? With plenty of questions surrounding the draft, they must hit on this pick to avoid another long stretch of struggles. 31, New York Giants, 3-14. The Giants' QB situation is dire. If no QBs are taken at number 1 and number 2, they'll need a plan B. Their future at the position is uncertain, and they can't afford to miss on a key draft pick. 28, Cleveland Browns, 3-14. With Deshaun Watson's career likely on hold after a second Achilles injury, the Browns are forced to look for their next QB. Their draft strategy should be focused on that, especially with a potential number 2 overall pick. 29, New England Patriots, 4-13. The Patriots are starting a new chapter with Mike Vrabel as head coach. After a rough 2024 season, the roster needs some work, but with the right direction, they could bounce back. 28-27, New Orleans Saints, 5-12. Kellen Moore's hiring wasn't the most exciting, but given the Saints' salary cap issues and QB uncertainty, it was the best they could do. They'll need to rebuild but might find success if Moore can coach up the squad. 27-26, Las Vegas Raiders, 4-13. The Raiders made an unusual hire with Pete Carroll, given the team's non-contender status. While Carroll is a solid coach, this move doesn't exactly scream Super Bowl contender in the short term. 26-29, Jacksonville Jaguars, 4-13. Despite a messy offseason search, the Jaguars landed a great candidate in Liam Cohen. They'll need stability and growth as they continue rebuilding under new leadership. 25-24, New York Jets, 5-12. With no Aaron Rodgers in the picture, the Jets must build a team with their new head coach Aaron Glenn. There's hope for a turnaround, but it will take time and solid decision-making to right the ship. 24-23, Carolina Panthers, 5-12. The Panthers need to focus on building around their QB. With some work on defense and pass rush, they can turn things around, but the priority should be on strengthening their defensive line. 23-22, Indianapolis Colts, 8-9. The Colts are a roster that's capable of more, especially with Anthony Richardson's development. A more aggressive approach in free agency and a stronger draft could help push them into playoff contention. 22-19, Arizona Cardinals, 8-9. Despite a disappointing season, the Cardinals made improvements. They need to capitalize on their salary cap and draft picks to shore up their defense and revamp their offense. 21-17, Miami Dolphins, 8-9. The Dolphins face major questions, particularly regarding Tyreek Hill's future and whether they can fix the culture issues. Salary cap limitations will make it difficult to keep key free agents, but there is talent to work with. 20-25, Chicago Bears, 5-12, with a new coaching staff, including Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. There's reason for optimism in Chicago. A solid offseason can transform the Bears, who were expected to be much better last season. 19-16, Seattle Seahawks, 10-7. The Seahawks showed promise with a 10-win season. But they'll need more to contend at the next level. DK Metcalf's future is up in the air, and they need to find new ways to grow offensively and defensively. 18-18. Atlanta Falcons, 8-9. Atlanta's QB situation has optimism with Michael Penix Jr. in the picture. But finding a pass rusher remains a priority. The defense will need work, but the future could be bright with the right moves. 17-14. Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-7. The Steelers were good but not great in 2024. They need to find a way to upgrade at QB and possibly add a receiver or two to boost the offense. 16-12. Denver Broncos, 10-7, despite issues at QB. The Broncos' defense is solid, with better support for Russell Wilson and additions to the running back and tight end positions. Denver could improve significantly. 15-20. Dallas Cowboys, 7-10. Hiring Brian Schottenheimer surprised many. But it's a big opportunity for the new head coach. The Cowboys need quick results, but fans may not have patience if the team struggles early on. 14-10. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 10-7, with Baker Mayfield leading the offense. The Buccaneers need to adjust to their new personnel. Their rookie class from 2024 should be ready to contribute significantly in 2025. 13-11. Los Angeles Rams, 10-7. The Rams had defensive improvement late in the season but will need to deal with Cooper Kupp's uncertain future. As long as Stafford is healthy, they should be competitive, but their cap situation might make things difficult. 12-6. Minnesota Vikings, 14-3. The Vikings face a big decision at QB after a strong yet disappointing season. They need to figure out the QB situation and make moves to build a more balanced roster. 11-15. Houston Texans, 10-7, despite a not-so-impressive record. The Texans made progress with 10 wins and a playoff victory. There's a lot to work with. And under the right offensive coordinator, they could take the next step. 10-13. Cincinnati Bengals, 9-8. The Bengals are facing tough decisions with T. Higgins and need to focus on improving their defense. But with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they remain a force in the AFC. 9-7. Los Angeles Chargers, 11-6. The Chargers' early exit from the playoffs didn't diminish their potential. They're ahead of schedule in building the roster to fit Jim Harbaugh's system, and they should continue to grow. 8-21. San Francisco 49ers, 6-11. Brock Purdy will soon get a hefty contract, which will make it harder to maintain the team's depth. The 49ers aren't out of Super Bowl contention, but they'll need to be smart about their roster moves moving forward. 7-9. Green Bay Packers, 11-6. The Packers have a young roster with growth potential. Jordan Love needs help, and the team could use an alpha receiver. But the future is bright if the Packers continue to develop their young players. 6-8. Washington Commanders, 12-5. The Commanders made it to the Final Four despite having the worst roster, with salary cap space and a promising QB in Jaden Daniels. They might not hit their peak until 2026, but their future is incredibly bright. 5-1. Detroit Lions, 15-2, with new hires coming from the Lions coaching staff. There's a risk of drop-off. The Lions will need Dan Campbell to make smart decisions in the offseason to stay competitive in 2025. 4-5. Baltimore Ravens, 12-5. The Ravens are primed for another strong season. Assuming Derrick Henry stays productive, their roster is solid, and they ended the season on a high note, which should carry over into next year. 3-4. Buffalo Bills, 13-4. The Bills face questions about their playoff failures, but they remain a strong team. They need to determine if their core is enough to get them over the playoff hump and into the Super Bowl. 2-3. Kansas City Chiefs, 15-2, with a young core. The Chiefs are well positioned for continued success. While changes will come, they remain one of the top teams, especially with players like Rashee Rice coming back from injury. 1-2. Philadelphia Eagles, 14-3. The Eagles are one of the NFL's most well-rounded teams, with a strong draft record and smart contracts. With key players set to return and few looming free agents, they are positioned for sustained success after their super grading Tom Brady QB-turned-announcer brings insight, experience, and the pain of loss to his first Super Bowl broadcast. It's fair to question what Tom Brady did to earn the right to call the Super Bowl in his first year as a broadcaster. Sure, he reached 10 Super Bowls and won 7, more than any other team in NFL history. But playing in the game is a lot different from commenting on it for the entire world to hear and critique. Would Brady rise to the occasion under the bright lights with 100 million people listening? Come on, it's Tom Brady. How do you think he did? Brady shines in his debut. Brady's performance on Sunday night, as he called the Eagles' 40-22 victory over the Chiefs, definitely rose to the occasion. While it wasn't a signature performance, there wasn't much room for in-the-moment emotional commentary during a blowout. Brady's true strength came in offering perspective on what it feels like to lose on the Super Bowl stage. And more importantly, what it feels like when you're the one expected to win. Like Patrick Mahomes. Honest reflections on loss. I think about, unfortunately, the 3 losses probably more than I think about the 7 wins. It hurts to lose this game, Brady shared during the fourth quarter. As the Chiefs seemed destined to lose. We lost to the Giants in 2007. That was 17 years ago. We were on the precipice of history. We faced a team that played their hearts out that day and beat us. And I still haven't really lived it down because you care so deeply. And I know this Chiefs team does as well. And then came Brady's brutally honest statement that left a lasting impression. The reality of a loss in this game is, you don't ever get over them. That's the kind of insight we were all hoping for when Brady signed his massive $375 million deal with Fox Sports. After all, no one on earth knows more about the highs and lows of Super Bowls than Brady. His ability to speak so candidly about the agony of losing in such a big game, with raw honesty, was what made his Super Bowl debut as a broadcaster so powerful. Brady's broadcast struggles early in the season. It hasn't been all smooth sailing for Brady in his first season in the booth. He struggled early on with the natural rhythms of announcing and with the high expectations placed on him by Fox, especially considering the controversy of Fox demoting Greg Olsen, one of their most talented broadcasters, to make room for Brady. While that's not Brady's fault, it did mean the comparisons to Olsen were inevitable. Brady didn't fully find his stride until later in the season. But by the time the Super Bowl rolled around, it was clear he had prepared for this moment just as meticulously as he did for his Super Bowl appearances. Brady stays engaged in the blowout. Over his 10 Super Bowl appearances as a player, Brady's team was in every single game until the final minutes, whether they won or lost. That ability to stay engaged and keep his focus throughout a game is what made Brady such a great quarterback. And it translated well into his broadcast performance. Even during the blowout, he stayed locked in, offering expert commentary on what was happening on the field. Brady had to be thinking, Kansas City stinks on ice right now. But instead of simply expressing frustration, he used his years of experience to break down what was happening, especially with Mahomes. Brady didn't just talk about how Mahomes was struggling, he explained why he was struggling. As Brady explained late in the second quarter, after a sack on Mahomes, he just is not that comfortable right now. I wouldn't expect him to be comfortable the way the pass rush is getting after that line. The GOAT quarterback race, Brady and Mahomes. While Brady stayed composed in his analysis, deep down, he knew that this Super Bowl result could affect the narrative around the greatest quarterback of all time, GOAT. Had Mahomes won this game, it would have been his 4th Super Bowl victory before the age of 30, and more importantly, a 3rd consecutive win, a feat Brady never achieved. While Mahomes still has plenty of time to catch Brady on the all-time greatest list. This loss was a setback in that chase. Brady's Super Bowl preparation pays off. When it came to his Super Bowl debut in the broadcast booth, Brady didn't disappoint. His performance was thoughtful, knowledgeable, and provided deep insight into the game, all while maintaining the level of professionalism we'd expect from someone with his vast experience. He didn't need to be flashy or over the top. His credibility and knowledge of the game spoke for itself. Conclusion: Brady proves he's got skills off the field, too. In the end, Brady's debut as a Super Bowl announcer proved that he has a lot more to offer the NFL than just playing the game. His ability to offer insight on the pain of loss, the mental challenges of big game pressure, And his expert analysis of the action on the field made his debut a success. Brady is more than just a winner on the field. He's a rising star in the broadcasting booth too. It turns out Brady has skills off the field as well, but we probably could have predicted that. Right?